Welcome everyone to our 100th mother effing episode. Mother effing episode of the Publishing Persuasion. You heard me right. I said the 100th episode, 100 of the Publishing Persuasion. Welcome. I'm Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle and A Cruel Thirst, and I am here with the Melanie Schubert, author author of Severed Cape, coming May 7th. Melanie, that was maybe almost the 100th time I've done that.
It's okay.
How
You know
how are you
what? This is why we're a match made in heaven, because even 100 episodes later, I still get sweaty. I still freeze up on the spot and like wonder why I'm doing it. Literally, just out. That's just like doing a podcast with anxiety disorder. Like, you just have moments and just being human. Let's be real. Just being human. You just have moments where the words just don't like do the thing.
No, that's me just about most of the day, throughout the day. The words don't work. The sweat is sweating.
I'm so sweaty today.
Are you?
I'm so sweaty.
I feel sweaty too. It's
I'm hormonal,
so that
I'm
could be
extra sweaty.
Yeah. Well, and we're in our Pub Persuasion shirts. Oh, what?
Look what I did. Okay, they're just coupons. I made little. Okay, so I had so many stickers. I stuck a pair onto some black acetate background. Okay, you can see it was an old notebook I had stickers on. So I made little earrings out of our logos, just representing the podcast with all
You're so creative.
With all my cloaca pride, which I've possibly been saying wrong for like 1,000 episodes.
Yeah, let's just let the cat out of the bag. We saw a video. I think you sent it to me, and then it was in the group. It was in the Discord. We've been saying cloaca all wrong.
Okay, but in my defense.
Sure. Go ahead, make up an excuse. Go ahead and make up your excuse.
You get up on that high American horse.
We live here. We live up high. Go ahead and explain. Go ahead and explain how you have steered me wrong.
I heard it as cloaca the first time I heard it. The first time the very first time we ever heard of the thing was shared, it was cloaca. And then, yes, we've been saying cloaca. For those of you who are just hearing that for the first time, the definition is, in fact, snake butthole. Also chicken butthole and bird butthole. Also fish butthole.
Oh, fish as well, yes.
Happy 100 episodes! Anyway, this word has fascinated me. And then I saw a video of a bird the other day come into my feed, which I sent to taunt you. But to my horrific delight, the lady had taught the bird to say my cloaca, except when it said it, it was like my cloaca.
Yes. So we learned from a fucking bird.
But
that its butthole is cloaca.
But then I Googled, and I think it might be an accent thing. I think Americans say it cloaca more, and Australians, being that we tend to shorten everything, sounds like something we'd say, my cloaca.
Honestly, when you put it that way, it 100% sounds like an Australian accent there.
Hey mate, how's your cloaca going?
That feels right. So cloaca feels like something. That feels like.
Sounds like people trying to sound fancy about snake buttholes.
Oh, my cloaca. Oh, look at that cloaca over there. That's a puckered cloaca.
All I can think is my achy breaky cloaca.
What? Where did that come from? Where did that come from?
Cloaca.
Oh, sure, we'll go with that.
Okay, I can't. How are you feeling about our 100th ep?
You know what? I feel emotional about it. And I think we had the perfect guest on for this episode, which is Jill Tew, which is one of like are good friends. She's also like a listener of the
Yeah.
show. She's just a great human being. She is
Mm.
a part of Joy Revolution, which is the same imprint as me. She's got a book coming out. She's just the perfect person. But when at the very last little bit, which if you listen to the entire episode, which you
Mm.
should, we just have this a little moment, where we just talk about this is the 100th episode, and I was feeling rather emotional about it. It is
Yeah.
wild. Um, who would have thought? You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Something
Who
about
would
other
have?
people expressing it makes me emotional. Like I think like
Oh
when you're
yeah.
just going about and doing the thing and then somebody stops to like reflect back at you what you've been putting out the whole
Yes.
time, that's what kind of makes me
Yeah.
emotional thinking about it. And that's what she did. She like reflected that. And she's just such a array of good energy in
Yeah.
like on this whole freaking Bookstagram platform. Like there's so much toxic energy, and I tend to find just like when I feel that good energy vibrating from people, I just like more of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she is that.
She is that. And then our friend Ines purchased a
Yeah.
shirt, our famous shirt with all our faces on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just split the screen. We could just imagine Ines is right here. She's, such a supporter of the show. And
Mm.
so yeah, so I have my vintage of the publishing Persuasion. Melanie has her most current. Ines was wearing, what did we call it? Was it retro or was
We'll
it
call it the
a
retro
throwback?
one. The
Yeah,
throwback.
a throwback shirt. So yeah, so I think that's it. It's like just what you said, when people
Mm.
remind us that they've been here
Yeah.
for many all along, um is wild, because I feel like we both have grown as
Mm.
humans through this process.
Fuck
um
yes.
so it's so it's so great. It's
Mm.
so cool to be able to have this journey of just like learning how to speak.
Hmm.
And even though I get my words wrong, obviously, all the time, but like
Mm.
learning how to express my emotions, which is something I hate to do, and speak about just life and bookish things
Yeah.
and get more and more comfortable. I can only imagine like our first episode
I know.
compared to like now.
We'll have to do a throwback. I'll try find
Oh,
some cheesy clips, especially because that first episode, we never like, it was kind of like a way for two very nervous people to have a go. Because we were just
yeah.
like, let's just try, having never zoomed each other face to face in our bloody lives. We're like, let's just jump on a 45-minute Zoom call and see what happens. I bet our shirts were
Oh,
just racked with sweat.
oh, 100%. We were sweaty messes that first. And we really and truly did just hop on the call and was
Yeah,
like, record.
yeah.
And we just never stopped, which is so weird. It's so weird. It's so cool.
Yeah,
How are you
I'll go
feeling?
back and look. Good, like
Yeah. Nah,
sweaty
you don't
and
have to. You don't have to look
yeah, it
back.
could be
It's fine.
too shame.
Yeah.
It's like you said, like a bunch of feelings, and I do feel like yeah, like somehow it became like more than just a podcast to me. Like
Yeah.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like I feel like I have grown as like just a human in general, and yeah, like I think for me it's been like such an anchor in what's like such a tumultuous and like Jill was saying, uncertain industry. Like there's just so much uncertainty, there's so much waiting, and the pod has just felt like somewhere where we could just talk about that, all the unpredictable parts, all the like highs, all the lows, like everything has just been like, and like that's credit to you, like that you've made a safe space and that we can talk about that together. It's like, yeah, it's become a place of authenticity for me, which is like really cool and
Mm.
unexpected. I think I thought when I started it, I would have to like just be podcast Mel. But what I've
Mm.
found is the longer that we've done it, like there's so many different parts of my personality that I'm able to show and feel
Yeah.
comfortable to do so.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No, I love it. No, thank you. That it's what it feels like. It feels like an anchor.
Mm.
Um, you know, and I do remember like when we first started, I'd be like, oh no, we have a podcast today. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so I shouldn't do this. I'm so nervous. My
Yeah.
stomach would like, oh, why did I do this? But now, like, through the 100 episodes,
Mm.
it just be it's never easy, I feel like, because we're no matter
Yeah.
what, we're always nervous and like
Mm.
anxious, excited about what's gonna go on.
Mm.
But it feels like an anchor. Like every single time we're finished recording, I always feel so much lighter and
Mm.
so much more energized and
Yeah.
just excited for the rest of the day or the
Yeah.
week or to get back to writing. It just feels like, we have all this life happening, chaos,
Mm.
and then we're back. And then we're
Mm.
reminded why we do this and why we
Yeah.
love the community. And so yeah, so thank you for being my anchor for the last few years. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's like the world is full of noise, but like the podcast for me is a place where the noise kind of drops away. And I
Yeah.
think that's been like, yeah,
Um,
who would have known like that it could be that? Now I'm getting in
yeah.
my feels.
Get in the feels.
Getting
So
in the
much
feels, but
feels.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
been magical. And I'm just like continuously thrilled and floored that people find it and feel the same way, that they feel part of that community, because that's what both
Yeah.
of us wanted, to be able to like capture that sense of community and an energy that we felt around Pitch Wars. And I think that's why we both gave it a go, even though, yeah, like what you just said is real. Like, I don't think it's ever completely easy for either of us. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always like, it doesn't, but you're so right. But afterwards, I'm always just like, wow, like, sometimes podcast Mel inspires me later. Podcast Angela
I love
definitely
that.
does. But yeah,
I
like
love that.
when I edit it back and like, yeah, because it's one of those things, isn't it? Like sometimes when you're in the moment, I find that I can't always focus on exactly what I'm saying, especially being the chaotic little ADHD flurry. So sometimes when I watch it back, I was like, oh, you said that. Okay.
Like, wow, you are so smart.
That's smart.
Yes. it is funny because, and I was just talking with Jill in the DMs, like she's like, I'm gonna have to re-listen to this because I blacked out, it's all a blur. And it feels like that a lot of times. A lot of times I will re-listen to our episodes. Sometimes I don't want to because I'm afraid of what I've said, but like going back and just like listening to what our guests have said and like completely missing it because
Yeah.
you're busy trying to focus on the next question and sorry, I have an eyelash in my eyeball.
No.
but
Need a
but
moment?
yeah,
I can cut it out if you need to go get it out.
no, it's fine. I'll survive. I'll survive it, Melanie. Thank you, I
Okay, but
appreciate
if
it. It
it's
might have
scared
been a ghost.
out of you, well, I did see your ghost before.
Oh, did you? Oh my God, I
By the
swear.
way, that goat in the background, now your hand's drawn my attention to it. That goat kills me in the back. Can you please bring it over?
This
I
one?
need, yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
what,
hang on.
like, come on. It's too funny. Why isn't it?
Ugh.
I'm
Okay.
sure I pointed it out before, but it was just grinning at me while you were trying to get your eyelash
Yeah.
out.
Well, I don't know, you could probably not see it very well, but there's the kangaroo ball sack.
I can see it. Now that
It's
you
up
pull,
there. Yeah.
glorious.
So this says kids for sale.
Friends, it's a bunch of goats
Yeah.
staring in like a Legolas type of dreamy way.
Yeah.
Like,
So
were you selling goats?
no, my stepmom just gave it to me just like as a joke gift.
Ah, like
And
to
I
sell
just
your kids.
yeah, like a double meaning.
Okay.
So I just kept it, but okay. Well, my eye is back.
Okay, good.
Back to good. Back
No,
to
because I
normal.
know that can be really excruciating if you don't get it out. Like I can't
Yeah.
focus once and you're like, I'll just suffer through. I'm like, nah, mate, take a moment, get it out. We-
I feel like that's the story of my life. Like I feel like Valerie would have been like, yeah, that's your sign. Like you would just suffer through and keep working. Like, yeah. That's
That's
me.
maybe why we work so well, because you're like staying quiet about it and I overshare.
I think we're the perfect duo. We're the perfect duo.
We balance
Um,
each other.
yeah, we do. And that again, it's
Mm,
what I love because I feel like so often like I can be very vulnerable with you about different things and you've been working on yourself and with therapy and so often the things that I need to hear, it's something you've already sort of been going through or going through at that moment. And we're always so synced. And so I'm always learning from you, which I love. I've become a better human because of you. So thank you.
It makes me like really like I don't even know, relieved to hear because yeah, I am an oversharer and sometimes I'm like, how much is too much? But that's why I share. Like it's not always comfortable to share. It's like, yeah. But I hope that like a past me and like people I love, like you, will get something out of it. And if not, sometimes it's good to just be like more authentic, you know? But yeah.
Yeah. So I have our Pub Persuasion
Yes.
Discord group. We asked in the group if any of our Discord friends had any questions for
Mm.
us. So our friend Kate, the first question was, I would love to know how the beautiful logo came about. Also, the name. She wants to know about the name.
Mhm.
Um, Kate, I'm just going to take the credit. I created the logo. I made up the name.
And
It's
you would
all
be right
me.
to do so.
I did it all. I'm so creative. Actually, no, it was all Melanie Schubert. How, Melanie, take us through your creative genius.
Um,
Oh, don't get shy.
okay,
Don't
I
get
am
shy and
shy.
humble.
Um, Literally the name, we were just as chaotic as our first episode was, that was the same with the name. We were just spitballing ideas. I can't remember half of them. And
Who knows?
and like again, it felt like kind of like I still felt like sweaty and embarrassed sharing ideas and stuff. And I was a little starstruck by you through
Oh,
picture.
sure.
So I was
Sure.
just like, what's this girl gonna even think? And yeah, I think it was just like one of the names. I was just like, what about of the publishing persuasion? And you were just like,
Good stuff.
I like that. And I was like, really? And you were like, yeah. I was like, okay, do we just go with that? And you were just like, yeah, in your like just chilled out Angela Montoya way, just like you're like, yeah, okay, let's go with that. It was literally like a 2 minute conversation for that.
Yeah, that
Um,
came fast. That came fast. Yeah, she's the title queen.
no, but it was only because we were throwing a bunch of ideas around and then it just amalgamated in my head to the final. It felt like like, it gave like a nod to the old classic form of writing of the publishing
Ooh,
persuasion.
yes,
So
yes. It made us feel very literary and
yes, which
very smart. And yes, but it does. It makes us feel very profesh.
yeah.
How about the logo that you created?
Actually, I think I saw what's Clarabelle and Ryan's podcast called?
Oh,
Bad Author Book Club.
yes, I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
think I
Yes.
remember seeing theirs and feeling like what a fun vibe it had. And I was like, maybe I could make it myself. That's what made seeing theirs made me think maybe I could make it myself because it just had a fun vibe and I immediately could see how I could do it in Canva. So
Yeah.
it's like nothing like theirs, but that kind of I don't think I would have maybe thought to do it. That's the thing, like a lot of stuff with this is just trial and error, like it's not like either of us have any training in any way to do any of this. Like we really just fumbled our way through it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was no different. Like if I could show you the original file that I made the logo from, there's literally like all these little green squares and triangles where it's not like Canva's pretty, like it's good, but it's basic. You can't just like crop files exactly how you want. So I would just make a circle and cover the part. I mean,
Oh,
if you
wow.
can see the original file, there's so many layers.
So many layers.
And
Oh
it
my
doesn't look
gosh.
like it in the final,
Yeah.
but they're there.
But and even that, it shows your growth in your Canvas skills because you still do the graphics for like our guests
Mm.
and they're gorgeous. I love like the newer ones. The pink ones were me. The new ones, the pretty ones, those are Mel. So we're just from now on, we're just gonna give that job to Mel. I did do the graphic for her birthday post, and you can
Did.
tell. You
No,
can
I
probably
love that shit. That was glorious.
thank you. I worked really hard on that. I worked so hard to crop those faces.
It really worked, okay? It really was your finest work to date. I will have to
Thank
put
you.
some on t-shirts, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'm still proud about that. I'm still
The
proud.
one with
Okay,
your
do you want me
face.
to read them?
Yeah, yeah, sorry,
What?
go.
Okay. Okay, from Peace. I'd love to hear the full story of how you two decided to do a podcast. Also, any difficulties you encountered on the way.
Yeah. Do you want me to
You go for it. Go for it.
literally, this is where we have to shout out our founding father and Mummager Queen,
Grandfather,
Jessica
founding
Parra.
grandfather. Yeah.
Um, yeah. It's so funny because I made her those sand dick earrings and they arrived today. So she's celebrating with us in spirit once she gets to her mailbox.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, but I literally used to make these dorky like thing. I would call it a Friday check-in because everyone was like, "Show your face more on Instagram." I was like, "Fuck." So I'd just be like, "Hi guys, this is what I was up to this week, and I've got done this amount, rah rah rah." And it did like kind of help me get comfortable in front of the camera. And for some unknown reason, Jessica Parra, who I also was like so starstruck by through Pitch Wars, was like, "Oh my God, I love these. You should make a podcast." And I'm not going to lie to you. I did not even really know what podcasts were at that point. I was not a podcast girly. Like, I was just like, "Oh, that's really nice." She's like, "No, seriously." She's like, "I just love listening to you talk." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "But that kind of sounds fun too, you know?" There's that moment of like, this is
Yeah.
like, why would I do that? But then I'm in that stage where I'm like, well, who am I not to do that? You know? Why
Mm-hmm.
not try? And I was just watching all your cool reels and we'd been like chatting in DMs a bunch. And I was just like, this girl has such good energy. Like, I wonder if she would consider doing something like this. Because if I had a friend to do it with, it wouldn't feel so daunting. And
Yeah.
yeah. And I asked, and you again in classic, like practical Montoya style, was like, let me take a moment to think about it. I was like, there's no way she's gonna say yes. I was like, she's not gonna say yes. She's too cool for me.
Oh yes. Well, I'm super cool. But I think I did need a moment because
Yeah.
it was daunting and like scary to think about. And it was one of those like, well, who am I to
Yeah.
who am I to do a podcast? Like, what do I even have to offer
And you
about such
couldn't have
things?
known that I was like shy as well because I approached
No.
you. You would not have been able to guess that like it was also so daunting for me. You were probably like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of energy that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, I had no clue. I just thought, oh, here comes Melanie. She's coming with some heat, some energy. Um, but yeah, I think it was like a what the hell moment, where you're just like, you know what? But truly, it was after Pitch Wars, and we were missing that like
Yeah.
that chaos of Pitch Wars, and
It's
but you know what I mean? But
no,
like
it's
it's
facts.
starting a podcast sounded so just scary and
Mm,
intimidating and just like out of left field, like
mm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had another friend like a while, like probably a year before that was like, oh, we should maybe try a podcast. And I was like, oh
Oh, I
no.
never knew that.
Yeah. I was like, no, there's no way. Like, uh-uh.
Oh, she
And
must be like the one that got away.
oh yeah, she's doing just fine. She's doing just fine. But like because back like even pre Pitch Wars or whatever, I was like, there's no way. Like, who the hell? I have nothing to say. And here we are having lots of to say. Like the Zoom just cuts us off at this point.
I
Zoom's like,
know.
no. What was the other part of Pieces thing? Oh, any difficulties you've encountered along the way?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. What are your
I mean,
difficulties?
just being
Yeah,
like
just being human.
living with anxiety and stuff as well. It's like definitely a challenge
Yeah,
sometimes to put yourself
yeah,
out there, but yeah, it's
yeah,
also like so rewarding as well. But like I think
yeah.
like we've always from a more practical aspect, we've always approached it with like a let's just have fun. And I think that that's what, again, what drew me to doing it with you. Like, you were so practical and open about every aspect of it. It gave me like courage to try. I'd be like,
Mm.
I'll try with the logo, because you never made me feel stupid about it. You never made me feel like, why would you do that? Like, do you have any skills to do that? Like you're not one of those people who picks that apart in a negative way. You like lift people up. You're like, that's great. I love your cloaca emblem. You're just like, this is fun. This is great. And that energy, I really feed off other people's energy. So you giving good energy all the time, I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, I love that for me. I no, I agree. I feel like that was knowing
Mm.
that, like knowing we're just doing this to have fun and
Yeah.
just to get our voices out and to meet people and have community.
Mm.
Um, that was always the thing we always talked about. Like, well, as
Yeah.
long as it's still fun, like let's just keep going. Like, let's just have fun with this.
Yeah.
Let's not take it too seriously. Because there's things that podcasts might do that maybe are more professional in
Mm.
certain ways or whatever, but if it's not serving us and bringing us joy and it
Mm.
becomes like overwhelming and as far as work and whatnot,
Yeah.
we won't do it. And so I think the
Exactly.
more I think for us is when we really like just let loose and just had fun and stopped trying to
Mm.
be whatever we thought we needed to be and we were just
Yeah.
ourselves is I feel like when we really found our people.
I think
I
so.
don't know when that happened, but you know what I mean? Like there was some point where it was just like, yeah, we're
Maybe we
doing it.
were always trying. Maybe we were always like moving towards that. And it's just like bit by bit, as you find people who are like, hey, you're cool and I like you how you are. And all those parts of yourself you were worried were too foolish or whatever, you're like not afraid to show them then when you find that. And it's like
Yeah.
that quote, it just takes one or two good motherfuckers to like you can take over the world. I can't remember the exact quote, but I'm
I
like,
love
I think
that.
about that. As long as the people that I really value and respect think I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. Those are
Hell
the ones I
yes.
care about. It makes you able to stop giving a shit about people who would maybe laugh at you or think you're a loser, whatever. You don't care when the people you respect are like, hey, you're cool. And
Yeah.
that only comes through being so open and authentic with each other, because otherwise it's just all facades and masks.
Mm.
And being the neurospicy creature I am, I can't deal with that shit.
Nope,
I
nope, nope, nope.
can't.
Yep, that's it. I love that. Like as honestly, truly, just you and I right here feels like enough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's so nice when people do like come into the DMs or in the
Yeah.
Discord and like, oh, that was so funny or fun or whatever it is. But just this conversation and the guests that we have on is
Yeah.
enough for me. And so I feel like whatever else comes is great, but like I'm fulfilled. And I love,
Yeah.
I think it's great. We all need that in any way, whatever your outlet is. If you're fulfilled, it's a beautiful thing.
I
No
agree.
matter who's watching or not watching or
Yeah.
laughing at you.
And I think that's what makes the other parts less daunting, when you're like just doing the thing. And like, even if you rock up and you're nervous, whatever, but you're just doing the same thing as always. It's that
Yeah.
same open space. Do you want me to read the next one? You've been so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Inez asks, since launching the podcast, what challenges have gotten easier and what new challenges do you have? I know we've talked about being semi-introverts, and running a podcast can feel daunting for us shyish folks. But what is easier for you today that seemed like a mountain when you started? And what new challenges have you each set for yourselves and the future of the podcast?
Oh, that last one. And I think we touched on this already, like
Mm.
being introverted and sometimes shy in ways and like bringing on these guests.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I maybe was a little big for my britches when we first started, and I brought on Zoraida, and I totally lost it. But now, like, it feels so much less
Mm.
scary to be in the same room as these people because
Yeah.
we're all just like having guests on, like, just is always this reminder of like we're all just in this world, this life together, trying to
Yeah.
figure things out. Nobody is better than anybody. We're all just trying our best. And so it's changed me in so many ways because I would have never ever been able to be on panels or like fucking gonna be like the smackdown for Y'all
There you
Fest,
go.
Y'all West. I would have never, ever,
Mm,
ever been okay to do those things without the podcast, truly, you
mm.
know?
I love
How
it.
about you,
And
Mel?
it's for me, like it comes probably back to like living with anxiety disorder and like working my way through that. And like it's so funny. And like I only recently just shared this with you. So let's just share it in the interest of being authentic. Like literally something that like most people wouldn't know about me. Like I have such a something I've been working through in therapy. Like I have such a phobia of like being face to face and blushing in front of people because I blush so easily. That's like tied into like when I say I'm shy, I'm actually probably not shy. I'm actually probably not introverted. I live with extreme anxiety and I've been
Mm,
learning to
mm,
manage that, you know? And one
yeah.
of those things that I had to like really think about, and I only recently told Angela this,
Yeah.
was how am I going to feel being like stuck face to face with people for 40 minutes at a time? There's nowhere to run, there's no little like whatever. And I decided to work through that on, again, I was going to say national television. I don't know why I revert to that. But so that's been something where at the start I would shake, like just having to face that. Like I can't even explain how stressful those first episodes were because I had to work through literal like fight or flight, literal panic attacks while we were recording, while we were having interviews. And yeah, but that's something I chose to do. And again, you always made me feel so safe. You wouldn't have even known.
Mm-mm.
And that was just like one part. Like that's a trigger. Like that's a trigger that I've been working through. And like, yeah, that's something that through time and exposure and whatever has become, yeah, it's still a thing that I live with. Yeah. Like I still find that that can be like something burning in the back of my head. But a lot of days I'm able to shrink that and like be like, you sit in the corner because I'm here
Mm.
with my friends. You know, that's the, cognitive behavioral therapy. She's been working, she's been
She has.
hunting, and, she thinks blushing is very cute when other people do it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so there you
Tell
go.
your brain you're cute too. You were cute. You were just as cute when you blush.
No,
And
again, it's like one of those things I like to share because it's not something I think people talk about much. It's like sometimes people there can be a sense of shame like associated with this kind of stuff. It's like, no, you can still do it. You can find people who are going to be like, hey, we take you as you are. And all these things that you're working through, they make you feel like a safe space to do it. So
yeah, love that. Yep.
so
What
yes.
was her last part was what?
And what challenges have you set for yourselves and the future of the podcast?
Oh yeah. Um I don't what do you want for the future of the podcast, Melanie?
Just the same thing you said before, just like good vibe. Like, I think we're at the point where we really, yeah, like, I think one of the later questions is like, how do you get guests on? But a lot of it,
Yeah.
that's really you. That's credit on you. And like, you're very good at finding good energy people to bring on the show. And it's such a skill that you have to do that because, yeah, I find that the people that you naturally network with and you bring on the show just like lift up my spirits. And I know that from hearing from the listeners that it does the same. So yeah, just to
Yeah.
keep doing that, just to keep kind of trusting in the course of it, continuing to feel out the parts that feel good. And yeah.
Yeah, I am in agreement with you. That question was from Belinda. She'd like to know how we acquire our guests.
Yeah.
Um, and also what are the challenges and joys of being public about your journeys. Yeah, how we acquire guests,
Mm.
honestly, it truly like is a vibe thing. Like if it's because it typically is me. Sometimes Melanie's out there networking too, because we got to
I know,
get on.
take the crown. This is all you. I'm like 1 out of 10. What, not even like 1 out of 30 would be me. You are the network queen.
Yeah, I'm out and about. I'm always watching on socials and just like if someone seems interesting or their book sounds really great or the vibes we've been chatting. Um those are the things I'm just feeling out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really fun getting to know people by just reaching out and be like,
Yeah.
hey, what are you up to? Would you like to talk to us on this podcast? And it's been awesome. Sometimes we'll have like publicists reach out,
Mm.
but truly, and I think that is from now on, it is just us finding the people that we really really adore and just want to know more of. And so for the most part, it's just us out here finding people we love. And sometimes
I'm just cackling because right now in my spam box.
oh,
I
what'd
don't
you
know if
get?
you remember that publicist that reached out ages ago. Hopefully he never watches this. And like just kept reaching out with kind of like American war veteran Christoph Star. And he's like, I think he'd be a great fit for your podcast. And he was kind of spamming me the last month. And
Wow.
again, even though I kind of was like, I don't know if it's a great fit. This
Yeah.
time he had
Yeah.
messaged and he was like, Dear Angela,
Oh, he switched. He changed.
you're trying to
Screw
go to
Melanie. Screw
try,
Melanie.
trying to go to the good parent to ask, but he used my same fucking email.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, we're on high demand, but yeah, but on like we just love the vibes. We're going for good vibes. You know what I mean? So that's how we choose. And it's hard because sometimes there's just not enough time. There's so many amazing
Yeah.
authors and people we'd love to talk to, and sometimes it's just timing, which timing obviously is something we're really bad at
And
because we
somehow
have
our time has evaporated. And we better read Jill's bio. Like,
we better.
lucky, didn't I say let's start with the Discord questions? Because
Yep,
she's
because
chatty.
that was all we can get through. Yeah,
You want me to do it?
sure.
Our lovely guest, the Jill Tew. From a young age, Jill Tew was destined for speculative fiction nerddom. Nerddom. She grew up watching Farscape, Hercules, and The Tribe every week and always had the latest copy of Animorphs tucked in her backpack. Now she writes the kind of stories she loved as a kid with characters she wanted to see more of. Black heroines asking big questions, saving the world, and occasionally falling in love along the way. A recovering business school graduate, Jill enjoys belting show tunes on the way to Target and baking in her spare time. She's also the co-host of Afronauts podcast, which provides writing tips and community for Black aspiring I can't say speculative,
It's a hard one.
speculative fiction writers. Jill lives in Atlanta with her family. She's represented by the Jenna Zantian of a Zantian literary agency. Her debut novel, The Dividing Sky, comes out October 8th, 2024 with Joy Revolution, an imprint of Penguin Random House. Find her on X and Instagram at Jill Tew Writes and TikTok at Jill Tew.
Nice, Melanie. You got through that so smoothly. That's the best bio we've gotten through for the last few weeks. Huzzah. That is what the 100th episode will do, folks. It just brings out the pure poweress of Melanie Schubert. But yeah, let's bring on Jill, and she has so many amazing things to say. Melanie, congratulations to us, to you. Proud of you. Love you. Happy 100.
You. Happy 100, my friend. Who'd have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
Hello.
Yeah. It's Jill.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, your headband. Yay! Oh my God, thank you. For those that are listening, Jill Tew is wearing a 100 headband to celebrate with us, our 100th episode.
I had to.
I mean,
That's huge.
Yes, it is. And it feels right having you on because you are such like a baddie. So baddies only on the 100th episode for sure.
Thank you for that. That's not a word I'm used to hearing describing myself, but that's okay.
Get used to hearing it, my queen, because that's how we see you. And yes, I'm so touched by these little bouncy 100.
I think they're for like people turning 100 years old, which was like, I was like, wow, how many of these have been sold? And yeah, I feel honored. Yeah. I'll have to
We'll
keep these
save
around.
it. Save
Yeah,
them for when
exactly.
you turn 100, then you
Yeah.
can wear them again. So,
Exactly.
it's a purchase well spent. I just keep it on there. Well, welcome, Jill. We're so freaking excited to have you on. This is so fun. It's really cool seeing your book cover in the back.
Yeah.
The Dividing Sky, which we'll
Ooh.
get to. We will get to because it's so freaking good. And I'm also reading bits of something new.
Mhm, mhm.
And I just have to say, Jill Tew does not play. This woman writes. She writes. So yeah, so congratulations on everything.
Thank
But let's get into the hard-hitting questions
you.
Yeah.
right away. I don't want to traumatize you, but we're just going to get right into it, Jill. And I know you can handle it. And this is
Okay.
our
Ready.
random facts round. Okay. First question is, what is the strangest thing you own?
Um, oh, actually, I don't know if it's the strangest thing, but it is my favorite strange thing, which I
Ooh.
have here because I use it to like de-stress when I'm drafting. It is my automaton,
Yes.
which I occasionally use to to play random musics on my random songs on my Instagram stories. I might just play like a quick little,
Please.
just like the dulcet tones
I
of,
do not even know what it is. Can you
yeah, it's like a battery powered musical instrument. It's got like a fret here, and if you but like so it can like you can do like a little
Oh, I
I'm
can
so
hear
I'm
it.
so sorry for listeners. It's a little
No.
glissando action, but yeah, it's yeah, my
That
little
is the strangest instrument I've
yeah,
ever seen.
it's
Like
truly bizarre.
how
People
how
get
did
really, really good at it, like really
uh,
good. I
I
know.
kind of
how
want
did you
to,
learn about this instrument?
yeah.
Yeah, I I used to work at a startup as a product manager, and a lot of the developers had these. There's one developer that had like three of these, and he was very good. And I always was like, can I try it? And he's like, no, this is like $50. And I was like, can I please? And that was like 10 years ago, and like about a year ago, I was like, I can buy my own. And so I just went for it. This is not the deluxe model. This is a little entry level, but I love this thing. It's so great.
Ooh, I'm very intrigued. I need to know more.
Yeah.
Have you made up songs on it?
I've not made up songs, but I do a lot. So as you can tell, it's really hard to like get the pitches right. And so I do a lot of like Broadway ballads on here where you have to kind of sustain.
Ah.
So yeah, occasionally when I'm like super stressed or like on deadline, you'll catch me in my Instagram stories, just a little bit of Sondheim, a little bit of whatever the case may be. So
That's
I
perfect.
love it.
Yeah, we all need those de-stressors. Why not
yeah.
make something musical for
Mm.
everyone to enjoy, from your stress? I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Well,
I
now
love
I'm excited to know, like, what's something you think about way too often?
it.
Yeah. So I have two answers to this, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So my first answer is like TikTok musicals. Are you guys like on the TikTok musical side of TikTok?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm,
Well, Mel's not
I'm
on
not on the
TikTok.
talk. I'm
Oh, that's
not.
okay. That's
She's
okay. Some of
not
it makes
there.
its way to
She's not
Instagram. Okay.
there. Yeah.
So I think during the pandemic, the first one came up. People made their own musical based on the movie Ratatouille, like the Disney movie, like the mouse. And that one was pretty good. And then these two women who are like professional like songwriters and composers, they teamed up to do a musical based on the first season of Bridgerton. And
Yes,
so if
I
you ever look up
remember.
the Bridgerton musical, like they came up with like a full album of songs inspired by that season, and it was fantastic. I still listen to those songs on my on Spotify. And the most recent one that's come up is there's this guy on TikTok who is writing like a little snippet of a song every day just to like improve his songwriting abilities. And on Groundhog Day, he wrote a song about Phil the groundhog that was really beautiful. And it was this idea that like Phil lives forever, but his wife Phyllis does not. And it was just like like surprisingly poignant, and like maybe a little bit teary. And of course, the thing about TikTok musicals is that you can like duet things, right? And so this guy comes up with the original song and the people like duet it or layer onto it. And then you have like five different people, like somebody added like orchestration. I think that's just really cool when people just kind of come together and like layer on top of these different levels of art to make something like really unique and original. I think that's cool.
Oh my gosh, people are so freaking creative, and
It's
that's one of the like
cool.
really
Yeah.
fun things about like
Yeah.
TikTok and social media is you get to really see that shine. What
Yeah.
was the second thing? You said there was two things?
The second thing is the second thing is the new Hosier song, Too Sweet. The way he says the word lake in that song, just like I don't know, I want to like bottle it. I have to study it. Like it's if you haven't listened to that song, like go back and listen to the way he says lake. It's in the bridge of the song, so he says it a few times, and I'm just like, yeah.
Oh man.
Can you
Can
try
you
to
give
tell
us
us?
give us an
I
example?
could never even attempt to approximate. It really, I wouldn't even come close to doing it justice. Um, it just needs to be, yeah, witnessed, I think, in this original
Okay.
form. So yeah, I think a
Uh,
lot of that word.
yeah.
Mm.
These are very specific things,
Yeah,
and
I love it.
and it feels very Jill too. These specific things that we're thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into more TikTok musicals because
Yeah.
that sounds
Yeah.
really
Yeah. I'll
fun.
send you some links. I'll send you some of my favorite interpretations. It's really great.
Mm, I love it. And now I want to know what's one of your most memorable or funny or something like you reflect on often moments of life.
Okay. I think the statute of limitations on this one has passed to the point.
Okay.
Okay, so freshman year of college, my friends and I all lived on the same floor, and we were bored. It was like 11 o'clock at night on like probably maybe a Wednesday or something. And somebody, like a custodian or somebody, had left, those like rolling like industrial trash cans, like the big ones on like the wheels,
Yeah.
had left one in the corner of the hall with like a huge roll of like extra like industrial trash bags on it. And we're like, oh, cool. What if we fill this with water? And so we roll,
Sure, sure.
as one does. We're like,
Yeah.
so we roll it into the co-ed bathroom, like in the middle of the hall, and we like fill this huge, like clear industrial trash bag with water. It must have taken like, I think it took like over an hour, like because it's like the dorms are like not great. The water pressure is not great. And so we filled it with water, and then I had one of the big, I just like luck of the draw. I had one of the biggest rooms on the floor, and it was like a corner room, like like West Side, like Philly. And we roll it into my into my room, third floor. We push it out the window. This enormous,
Oh no.
enormous garbage bag of water. We literally like we could have killed somebody.
Yes, that's where my thought went because you said statute
Yeah,
limitations, and I thought, oh, she
nobody was
killed
there.
somebody.
Nobody got hurt. I don't even know if anybody like saw it, but it was so loud. And looking back on it, I'm like, I could have ruined my life. Like I really could have. But it didn't, and instead it's just a good story. I'm telling you guys. So
We love like hijinks and chaos.
yes.
And luckily, thank goodness everybody is okay,
Yeah.
and you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah. Yeah. It could have gone very differently, but I'm
Oh
glad
my gosh. That
On
is
the
so
other hand,
freaking
it could have
funny.
been glorious if there was like somebody you hated out there.
yeah.
They just got drenched, but
Just
like
like
not like physically maimed, but if
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
tidal wave of trash can
Yes.
water.
Just ahead or behind of the
Oh
that
my
would be
gosh.
very satisfying.
That would have been like a true rom-com moment.
Yeah.
And then of course it'd be like your nemesis. He's
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
academic rival.
Yeah,
And
like a Sharpay type. Yeah, very like,
yes. Yes. You know what? Make it happen, Jill. Make it happen.
Mm.
Well, speaking of stories, like did you know you always wanted to be a writer? Like was this always a thing for you, an idea for you?
um, it it wasn't. I knew that I liked words and like wordplay a lot as a kid. I liked making things rhyme, and I liked making like parodies of songs and stuff. And I thought I was gonna be a poet because I thought that like that it was just about making words rhyme, and like that was great. Like I'm really good at that. I love my rhyming dictionary. I can make things rhyme. I wrote like this epic saga when I was in fourth grade just for fun because that's cool. Like a huge like epic saga like poem about a time that my like our like alarm went off at 2 in the morning. Because like when you're a kid, that's like a big deal. It's like, oh my gosh, the alarm went off and everybody got up and it was so late and that was crazy. And I wrote like 3 pages about it in rhyme, in verse. And I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that. Yeah, and then I liked writing in high school too, but then when time came time for college, my parents were like, okay, but we didn't come to this country so that you could, write stories. So do something else. And I was good at other stuff too. So I went to an undergraduate business school. So I did that. And then eventually, after like burning out of like 3 jobs over the course of like 5 or 6 years, then like writing finally found me again. So that's where
That's really relatable, like doing a bunch of jobs and like finding that they all just spent me. Like it just didn't feel
yeah.
like the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that kind of like the push for you to go chase this more seriously?
Totally. So I was very much like a hoop jumper. I was like, I'm smart and like this is the job that everybody says you should get. So I'm gonna get that job and that's gonna be great. And I think my first job was very corporate. And after I burned out of that job and went to a startup, which was not easier, just different, I think I was like, you know what? Like I've jumped through the hoops, all the way through like K through 12 and then college. And I feel like I've earned like at this point, like there is no like right path. There's just different paths. And so I feel like I felt like I had like earned the right to be like, I'm gonna do something kind of different. I can't screw it up. I mean, I could have, I guess, but I was just like, I've come this far and I've done the things and I've earned myself the freedom to be able to like make a different choice. And so I did the corporate job and the startup job. And during both of those things, I was doing like the artist's way on the side. I was like, I need to like be creative in some way. I should have like picked up on that and been like, okay, like you're not happy actually, like wake up.
Yeah.
But I didn't because I was like, oh, but like being smart is cool and like having jobs people are like, whoa, so cool. And solving problems is cool. Like I liked the jobs that I had, right? They exercised part of my, but they weren't like feeding me on a deeper level. Yeah. And so actually what it was I posted about this a few days ago. When I was at that startup job, some colleagues were like, let's go see this new movie that just came out. And it was Divergent.
Oh,
And
yes.
I grew up on like sci-fi and I love like those kinds of stories. And I'd read the Hunger Games and seen the movies, but something about like that moment of like where I was in my life at that point, walking out of that theater, I was like, I have not felt like lit up like this in years. And like whatever this is, I have to get it back. And so that was the night that I started drafting the story that ended up getting me my agent like 8 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I love everything you've said so much. And I love you like that whole thing, that hoop jumping, and like especially as a young adult, and I don't know, especially growing up in our era. I think we're at the same era. But you really like there was this rigidity that you like had to do fulfill these certain things. But then we also were kind of like brought up to chase our dreams as well. So there's that niggling part of like, but hang on, it
Totally.
doesn't feel good. Why am I still chasing someone else's dream, you know?
Yeah, it's so funny because I do feel like our parents' generation, like the boomers, they absolutely were brought up like you chase the American dream, like you do that thing. Like my parents both went hard for that. And so that was just kind of the expectation. But then they also burned out, right? And so they were feeding me both messages of like this is what you do. These are the schools you go to, these are the jobs you get. And also like I'm exhausted and I'm not sure why I did this. Right. And so I was like, so yeah, like it was really confusing.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It's such an important thing to talk about because it's not like really one way or the other. There's all these shades of gray that you kind of have to like sort through about these things. Yeah.
I love that. And I heard I don't remember who even said this, but someone asked like, what's my purpose in life? And the answer was like, you have many. Like your purposes shift and change. And I clung to that because I was like, because you grow up thinking like, I have this one purpose, this one thing I'm supposed to do, this one lesson. But no, there's so many and you're shifting and growing and learning and becoming a different human constantly. You hope, right? Unless we're all perfect. Some of us are just born perfect. But so like, what was your publishing journey like? Like you started to write and then did you query?
Yeah, so so that night I started writing and I was like, I've never written a novel before, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So that was about 10 years ago. And it took me 6 years to finish the first draft. 6 years? 7 years? So maybe 7 years to finish the first draft. And I wrote like 4 different versions of that story. I like quit and unquit like 12 times. I got married during that time. I bought a house. I had 2 kids. Like, and like I changed jobs again. Like life was lifing.
Life was living.
And I you know, at the end of it, I finally finished the story when my youngest was like 2 months old. I was just like finishing the last pages on my like phone at like 4 in the morning when she was like self-soothing. I was like, I just can't finish it. Um, I decided that so before she was born, I was like, I quit, I'm done. Like I came downstairs and talked to my husband. I was like, I'm finished. I can't do this anymore. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not good at this. Like I can tell it's not good. I'm finished. And he was like, okay. Um, and then I was like, okay, but I'm quitting for the last time, meaning either I'm like done, or if I pick this back up again, like we're going all the way. And like 3 weeks later, I was like, I gotta do this. Like I have to. And so that was why I was just like, you know what? Like I'm gonna finish it no matter what. And I finished it like like May of 2020. So yay me. And it was horrible. I went like those fourth trimester pages were horrendous. I was like, who wrote this? Like I was so tired. But it was there and I was able to revise it. I revised it that summer and I started querying and I got a lot of requests. It was very high concept, like sexy premise, like very easy to like explain. But the pages did not deliver on like kind of like the kind of marketable aspect of the story. And so I was getting a lot of requests and then a lot of passes. And then I ended up getting an offer from a very junior agent who saw like no problems with it. She was like, it's ready to go. And I was like, no, it's not. Thank you for your time. So I said,
I love that for you. I love that you were like, no, you're wrong.
I was like, absolutely not. But thank you. And at the time I was applying to the contest, so like Pitch Wars was still around. And then Diana Foe, who was at Tor, she was an editor. She was editor at Tor. Now she's at Erewhon. She had a contest that she was opening for Black speculative fiction writers, where you could win a developmental edit with her. And so I applied for that and I was like, yeah, like give it a shot. And then like friends of mine had also applied and they were getting notifications that they'd been in like the top 10. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't get it, I guess. And then I found out that I won, which was crazy. And it was only for unagented authors. So had I taken that offer, I would not have been able to do that with Diana. So that was like a week before I turned that agent down. Then I got the email. So that was, you know, so we spent about a year revising and then I queried again and then got a few offers. And one of them was Jen Azantian, who's fantastic and has been awesome. And then about a year after that, I began writing the story that ended up being The Dividing Sky, my debut. So yeah, that's the story. Here we are.
Wow.
Yes, here we are. I always love hearing author stories, but I really love listening to the journey that you took to get here. And even that it truly like writing a first book, a book when you've never written truly a novel, it's so intimidating.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I went like through a million versions. And then, it comes to a point where I'm done. It's either I'm going so hard or this is it.
Exactly.
And I love that for you because here you are, you've got books and we're over here, just about to celebrate like The Dividing Skies coming out this year and like just all the things. Has there been anything like in your publishing journey thus far that has surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, so coming from like corporate world, startup world, like it's been really hard to get used to that like lack of control. And I think like I expected it when like you're querying, you're on submission, like it's not in your control, you kind of have to give up. But like even on the flip side, on like the backside of like getting an offer, the lack of control like drives me nuts sometimes. I think like there's so many different steps that like a huge team behind the scenes is doing for your book when it comes to marketing and publicity, even just like getting like the formatting together for, past pages and all that stuff. Like it's all going on behind the scenes. And like if any one person was going to like keep track of it, like that person for dozens of books at the imprint, like that person would go insane. And so a lot of times like you don't hear about something until after it comes to fruition. Like, oh, we got this, or oh, you're doing this. And it's like, I didn't even know that was a thing we were doing, right? And so like not being able to like steer the boat and like know what's going on or have visibility has been really, really hard for me as somebody who like loves data and spreadsheets and trackers and all that kind of stuff. But it's also important to realize like they do think it's important. They just have like so many other books that they're wrangling. And so just kind of had to like sit back and like watch it go.
Yeah. But I remember at Love Y'all, which was so fun. And it was cool, like getting to be on panels with you. Like that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
But I remember you saying like being your own advocate in many ways.
Yes.
And I love that because for me as a human, I am not that way. I'm just like, okay, like whatever. Okay, sure.
Yep.
But I love that like you need that reminder of like if you are curious about something, it's okay to ask
Yeah.
or learn. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's it, you don't control anything but yourself and what you're
But you
writing.
can ask, like you can always ask, and you can always ask for visibility into stuff. And the more, like, the worst they can say is like, I don't know, or stop asking.
Mm.
I've had that in a few different like polite ways before. But like if I want to know. And I think like, I was this way too, and I've seen a lot of debuts, like fellow debuts do this, where like you don't want to bother your editor or your agent even. And it's
Yeah.
just like, you're spending so much energy like still wondering about that question and just like not getting answers to it because like you won't ask. And it's just like, you know what, like we're gonna ask, like we might batch the questions if they're too much, but like it really doesn't do you any good to like have that creative energy spinning on a question you could get an answer to instead of working on books.
That's good advice just in life in general, I find,
Yeah.
like just like people aren't, I don't know, I think I tend to hum around sometimes imagining people might know what I'm thinking, which is a terrible
Mm.
thing to do. Like, and so I've learned to like, no, you have to verbalize it. Like people aren't
Yeah.
mind readers. They're not going to just guess that this
Yeah.
made you uncomfortable or that this was
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah, like it's just good life advice.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I found myself spiraling. Like, my arcs went up on NetGalley on Friday, and I was like, "Oh, look, I'm gonna get a widget." And like, I didn't get an email about a widget, and I was like, "It's because my book sucks, and it's because they're not gonna make me a widget because my book doesn't deserve a widget." And because like, and just like, where did that come from? Like, how could that possibly be like when the reality is like, it was the weekend, and like people have other things to do, and like I asked for a link, and I got a link this for yesterday. Yeah. And it's just like, just ask, like, just
Yeah.
fill out.
The
Sure.
Our
worst people
brains,
can say is no. That's what I've
Yeah.
realized. Like if you're ready
Yeah.
to hear, if you like brace to hear no, you can ask anything pretty much, Like it's
Yeah.
good
yeah,
advice.
our brains are assholes. I don't know why our
Yeah.
brains are such jerks, but they instantly just go right to the negative. It's like,
Yeah.
shut the F up,
Yeah.
let me be.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Uh,
heard it great. I don't know where I heard this from, but this has been working for me. Like, well, this week, this has been working for me. Where like if you have like a negative self-talk part of your brain or like especially anxious part of your brain, which I do, give it a name. So you can be like, thanks, Tanya. Like, I don't need that right now. Like, shut up, Tanya. So that you
Yeah.
can just be like, okay, great, like not gonna listen to you, like specific person, and just like all that chatter like gets put in a bucket, and you can just like close the bucket, and that bucket is called Tanya for me.
and it's Tanya. I love that. Yeah, like give it like the most like Karen basic.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like
No offense to any Tanyas out there. We
yeah,
love
yeah,
Tanya, obviously, but
Was
we
I
love
love
a
that.
we love a Tanya. I love that too. Okay, you mentioned arcs are available
yeah,
on NetGalley, which is
yes,
so freaking huge and exciting.
it is.
Can you obviously all of our listeners need to go and request because the
Yeah.
Dividing Sky is it's like a breath of fresh air.
Aw.
It's like a breath of fresh dystopian air. It is
Yes.
truly like all that good stuff that we are missing in that genre. And like I just remember reading it and being like, oh, it's like home, because
Yeah, right?
like Divergent was that and Hunger Games,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
exactly.
Can you tell our listeners what it's about?
Yeah. Okay, so it is a YA dystopian romance. People have been calling it like a cozy dystopian, which is kind of funny, I think. It's set in near future, hyper-capitalist Boston, and it is about a girl who uses her neurochip to illegally deal happy memories, and the handsome rookie who is determined to arrest her.
Perfect.
I
Yes.
love everything about this pitch. My body's just like, yes. And yeah, and it's funny that your memory of like going into writing is divergent because I get such divergent vibes in the best way.
Yeah.
Like Montoya said, like it's going to feel like home, YA home. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited for this.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Yeah, what was your inspiration for this book?
Yeah. Okay. So on the hyper-capitalist part,
Yes.
the gritty dystopian part. So a bunch of things kind of like glommed together. So I would say for the world building, So in the world of the Dividing Sky, there are people that work for this big company called Life Corp, and they are kind of like in these white collar jobs. They're working constantly, and they hire other people that are part of the lower class called proxies to live different aspects of their lives for them. So a proxy might deliver your goods or raise your kids. They also might go on dates for you or read books for you and then download the experience of reading that book into your brain via neurochip. And for me, when I had those 3 jobs I burned out from, I never had enough time for, to get everything I wanted to get done. And I was always thinking of ways to outsource, outsourcing meals, laundry, pet care, like all that kind of stuff. I never used the time I got back for personally fulfilling stuff. I always used it for more work. And so I was just thinking about a future where the technology evolves so that we can outsource anything we want in our lives and how we would probably still fill it with work. And so, what would it take to look at that setup differently? What would it take to reevaluate the trade-off between productivity and like life and like actually living? And so that's kind of the like philosophical stakes of the book. And then as far as the romance aspect, so Liv is one of those proxies. She's an emo proxy, so she has emotional experiences and transfers those memories and those experiences to her clients. And Adrian is an enforcement, so he's kind of like a police officer for that corporation that kind of runs everything. And I had just finished a reread of Serpent and Dove. And I was kind of, which is, if you don't have, the book is about a witch who like tricks a witch hunter to marrying her. And I kept thinking about like, what if it was kind of flipped? So what if Reed, the witch hunter, knew Lou was a witch, but she didn't? And so like, how would that kind of like change the dynamic of their relationship? Put a sci-fi spin on it. And then that's kind of where the book goes. So you have to see what happens.
Jill, you're so smart. You're
So-
so smart.
Yes, you are. You're the unofficial leader of our Instagram group, I feel. And did you want to talk about your empty heads? It just popped in
Oh,
your
yeah.
new
No Pops
thing.
Empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun. So that was just like I love story of all kinds, and I was just kind of like, this will be fun. So No Plots Head Empty is an Instagram live show that I run every month, with 3 new authors every time, a different genre, and we basically come up with a story in an hour on Instagram Live. So we have different genres. We did a thriller last month. We've done a rom-com. We've done a cozy fantasy. And so new guests every month. I've been trying to prioritize other 2024 debuts because like their books are fantastic. And it's a lot of fun. It's really silly. But occasionally the stories are like actually kind of good. So yeah, it's fun. Come check us out.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love like you're so supportive. I've noticed like with your debut group, because when we were at Love Y'all, like half of the people you were chatting up with was your debut group, which I love. I love that you're just part of the community and just out here hustling and making friends and doing all the things. Like it's so fun to watch you, and I just know like this book is going to, when it gets into the right hands, it's just going to blow up because it's so damn good. All of your books are. And I know you've got a middle grade coming out.
I do. Yeah, that's April 2025. We just announced that finally, which is very exciting. With Disney, Hyperion, and Freedom Fire, which is a new imprint from Disney. And yeah, that one is really cute. It's called Kaya Morgan's Crowning Achievement. And it's a middle grade contemporary about a Black girl in suburban Atlanta who is competing to be crowned the queen of her local Renaissance fair's summer camp. And it's really cute. It's like the book of my 12-year-old heart. I feel like she's kind of fighting against these like perceptions of like what it means to be a queen, and what somebody that looks like her should or shouldn't be appropriate for, and also her own family's perceptions of why she's into this thing that's kind of like ostensibly about white culture. And so it's sort of this like love letter to me when I was younger. And I think it's changing now. It's changed a lot since I was a kid. But when I grew up, a lot of what the media was telling us was quote unquote Black culture was like very like hegemonic and like it was very like one note. And now we know, thankfully, that Black culture can be whatever we say it is. And so things have changed. But yeah, I still wanted to put this story out there as kind of a story of like 12-year-old empowerment. So.
Oh my gosh. I got chills just thinking about like, yes, doing it for 12-year-old you. I just love that so much. What has been the hardest part of your journey so far?
I think waiting, which is similar to that lack of control. So The closer you get to pub, I feel like time dilates and like it takes longer for like the minutes to pass.
Yeah.
So it's actually gotten harder to wait, not easier. And I feel like I do get those moments of like remembering that there's a world outside of all of this. And it's so like sweet and fulfilling when I get those moments. I've been doing a lot of gardening lately. But it's hard, like the pull towards like the like waiting and the anxiety and the like single-mindedness is really strong.
That's so true. It's easier to kind of like dwell on the frenetic parts.
Yeah.
But what
Oh, yeah.
about the best parts so far? What's really like kind of set you alight?
Yeah, so it's early days, but I've connected with a few readers, like people that I didn't know before they read the book, and that has been incredible. So I think when I finished the first draft of this book before it even had the title The Dividing Sky, I knew that it wasn't going to be for everybody because I was like, I put so many weird things in here that are like in my brain. Like this is not going to be for everybody, but I was like, it's going to be somebody's favorite book one day. Like one day, I just feel like there's the heart of what this book is. Like it is so itself that if it clicks with you, I think it really clicks and it resonates. And so hearing from a few readers that they like got it on that like heart, like soul level has been really, really cool to see. So more of that, please.
Yes, more and more and more. Is there anything you want your reader or people who are going to read this to know ahead of
I
time?
think just if you don't like it, I don't want to know.
Good. That's perfect. Yeah.
Please don't tag me. Just don't.
Yeah.
Save those thoughts for somewhere far away. I don't need to know.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think that's pretty good. Take notes.
It's
Take
in my
notes.
author's note actually. It's just like if you don't like it, I don't want to
Yeah.
know. Readers, booksellers alike, like not interested.
Yeah.
I think that's
good.
fair.
Yeah, I do. That's good.
Now, I want to ask one of our favorite questions, which is looking back, is there anything you wish you could tell a younger version of yourself before you started all this?
Yeah, I think I mean, I could say that I wish that I had like skipped all those like burnout jobs and like figured out what I was supposed to do sooner, but I don't actually know if that's right. I think for me it was really important to well, for when I needed to eat, I needed a job. I had to make money. So like that was always going to be priority number one. But for two, I think it is true people say like those experiences lead you to like where you are now.
Yeah.
And I think, because I have had multiple careers and like reinvented myself like so many times professionally and personally. I've become a mom, like all that stuff. It makes this chapter of my life like an exciting one, but it's just one chapter. And, I think, as strong as the pull of publishing like already is, if this was like my first real job out of college, I think I would be losing my mind. And I'm very grateful that I have the grounding of like, you are more than this, and like you've been more than this, and like you've had dreams that like turned out to be false dreams before, and you got back up and it was fine. To know that like that could happen again and I would be fine, is just kind of grounding and like comforting on one level. Yeah.
That's profound, honestly. I think we do with publishing in particular, like it does suck you in and it becomes this like vortex where it's all you can think about and for some reason, and if I don't, get this, I'm a failure. But no, like we've had other dreams before and we've continued on and look at us. So I love that. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's so important, like having self-worth outside of that. And you're right, like a lot of times these things that led us there, even if you could go back, it would kind of like change your drive and like change who you are. So it's cool that you can reframe it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, if I hadn't burned out, I couldn't write a story about like capitalist demise and like the dividing.
That's
I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm very glad because if not, we wouldn't have the dividing sky. So, yay capitalism.
Well, it's funny because even Kaya is very much about like a girl who like thinks she just wants to like be the hoop jumper and is like actually like your goals are bad and I don't want your goals, right? And I was like, man, I have a lot of like unpacking to do. It keeps coming up for me in like different ways. Like maybe I should examine that. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I love our stories are telling us a lot about ourselves as authors as we write them. And I feel like we're always unpacking things like, oh, that hit something.
Where that came from somewhere. That's a raw nerve. Interesting. Okay.
Lots of them. Well, I see our time has dwindled away on our 100th 100th. I'm sorry, I just my
100. Yes,
my
I like
100th
that.
episode. It couldn't have been a more perfect episode to have you on
Yeah.
and chat about all things you and the dividing sky and just celebrate all that's to come for you. It's so exciting to see you thrive. So this is so fun. I can't wait for everybody to read The Dividing Sky. Please go pre-order it right now. Put it on your TBR, all of the things. No, seriously, Jill, like thank you for joining us. This is
Of course.
so awesome to have you
And
on.
congratulations to you guys. I mean, 100 episodes is major, and every one of, I mean, I've been listening for, I don't know, a long time. And every episode is like, not only is it like full of like good information with like the guests you bring on, but like the first, like your pre-chats are just like a hug. Like I'm just like, I'm getting coffee, I'm getting brunch. Like that I think is just as like soul filling and like bucket filling as the like the information on the back end of the episode. So you guys are just like, you're bringing so much like energy and warmth and um like community and camaraderie, I think, to the space. And I just want to say thank you guys and congrats.
Thank you.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
gosh.
cry. Thanks, Jill.
I'm
It's really
regretting
like-
putting the sparkle eyeshadow on because it's burning. Now that I'm tearing.
The feelings, they burn.
The feelings are burning. Well, we're
That
gonna
was
get cut
really
off at any
beautiful.
second. But
Okay.
seriously, Jill, you're the best.
Oh,
We
you guys
love
are.
you so much. Thanks for making us tear up on this
Yeah.
100th episode.
Yes, love you guys.